writer's work is never done. A writer's work has just begun. It's an ongoing, if J.K. Rowling could have back Harry Potter, she'd make it better. She had a deadline though, and so will your kids. Hey, did you know September 30th on Wednesday we're having a writing celebration? We're going to lay out your gorgeous little books you've made, maybe put a cover on one of them, and have a cookie and some 7-Up. And call it graduation. Okay, keep celebrating with a physical look to how that looks. But they're not all going to go do that thing you taught today. The first tip you can write down in your notes to remember and remind each other, the mini lesson is mini. It's really delivered in a window of 15 minutes. Because your students are going to learn way more by going and doing it. And we'll look at the structure next of how to make that happen. So, is that kind of how our PEs and music 30 minutes? Good with that? Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Guys are blessed with that. That's great. Yeah, the first 15 minutes. And kindergarten teachers, where are you at? Bless you. And I mean that. I really admire kindergarten teachers. That's the front line often for schooling. And I bring into a brown bag before I go any notes. I love first grade. First grade, bring it on, but they're that kindergarten, they're an animal all their own. So, in kindergarten, the mini lesson doesn't really fluctuate. In August, it's 15 minutes. In December, it's 15 minutes. In April, it's 15 minutes. It's the next big part of your workshop that at first starts pretty slim, the independent part. That'll grow and grow. The mini lesson should also be explicit or direct. And I think you're going to love this too. I hope this changes maybe how you speak as a teacher because it's effective. Instead of asking, do you have kids back on Tuesday? On Tuesday, you'll say, instead of asking, don't say, who remembers what we talked about Thursday? Don't ask. If you want to elicit their knowledge, do that one-to-one maybe. What do you know makes good writing? That's a good question to ask, yes. What do you remember about whatever it is that you're teaching? But don't ask a group of 24 kindergartners who remembers what we talked about on Thursday. You probably won't even remember. And then you're going to get hands raised, and you're going to get a lot of wrong answers and disengagement. I would rather have them come through the door from wherever they were coming, join me right at the rug, gather up close, and I'm just going to start my 15 minutes with writers. I did this in the 8th grade. I was in 8th grade for the last 2 years as well. Writers, I noticed the smart things you're doing. I took home a couple of your folders, and I got to tell you this, okay? That is way more engaging, and that works in all your courses. Instead of saying, who remembers, and fuddling and muddling, keep it all better. We'll look at that language next. Finally, the mini lesson is focused. I hope that gives you stress relief. Together with your colleagues, your grade level teams, and even across grade levels, create the Rolodex of what are the TPs, the teaching points, the big understandings inside narrative writing. What are the big 20? Find 20. What's the big 20 that informational writers do? Okay. Oh, they focus their writing. They have bold headings that organize their piece. They have pictures with captions that teach. Whatever those good books do, figure those out together and keep it focused. Don't try to tuck in a whole bunch at once. Here's my rationale that I've learned from the experts about why gather up physically close. And usually primary teachers as yourselves, they don't struggle with that. 8th grade said to me, oh, they're too big, they're too stinky. Let's keep them at their desk. No, I said, let's just try it. And here's the 3 reasons why. Writing is very, very personal. And I thought to myself, why am I creating a graduate course around kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade writing? They don't know their letters and their sounds. That's going to be so hard. What are they doing? But teachers, it's much harder at 3rd and 4th grade. Do you know why? they're censoring what they bring to the paper. Their friends are starting to matter and the peer pressure is changing. And if they bring that story to the paper, someone might laugh or roll their eyes or bully them. So it's tougher. You have to model your own embarrassing moments, your heartfelt, enriching moments, and they will too. Okay? And you build a secure place full of relationships. It'll change the profile of your kids. A second reason is every mini lesson has this component where you'll say, now, third grade, let's try this one thing right here at the rug together. And teachers, don't confuse this with, well, that's because we're all going to go write about it. It's just a have a go, feel what this feels like another day. And finally, it's good classroom management. That's the biggest tip I give to teachers when I was at a different school last week. Those two guys in the back row at my rug, there's a ruckus back there. Those two girls, they shouldn't sit together. It's a seating arrangement at your mini lesson. Think about that during the football game tomorrow. Jot down during halftime a little seating arrangement with 2, 4, 6 kids in the front row, 6 in the second row, 6 in the back row. These two, maybe my ADHD can be right beside me. And then I can put a partner with him who's a great role model. I can put that little girl here because her friend that she doesn't get along with is in the back. It's a powerful thing. It brings a hush over your teaching that next time. And then they don't argue, right? Kindergarten argues over, why am I sitting there? They know where to go and how to join. I keep them that way with a writing partner. Partner 1, partner 2, partner 1, partner 2, partner 1, partner 2. The whole season of that kind of writing. Here's the book I was referencing earlier about the power of feedback. There's what it looks like for those of you working on graduate work and good PLC conversations. He's the one that found out teachers providing feedback is really powerful. The next page in your packet is a big old feedback frosted code. And I had to put this in. I thought to myself as I created the packet, we could skip this, I'm not working very long. But I want to prove to you the power in a workshop setting, how fun this is and how personal it is and how powerful it is. In the first minute of your mini lesson, it sounds like this. First grade, and we could start today with the smart stuff I've been seeing you do as writers. And then you tuck in either what you've seen and talk all about that kid for 10, 20 seconds. You could hold up their writing real quick. And please drop in a name. Say, Maddie, realized the first couple of weeks of school, she was always kind of stuck, didn't think she had anything to write about, couldn't think of one thing. Now Maddie is coming up with all these different stories around the people that matter in her life. Can I show you what she's done? So there's feedback to Maddie, and then there's feedback to the other kids in the room of what to be writing. The E is for examine a student's writing. Teach then, here comes what's next in your lesson. Today, third grade, today though I want to teach you one more thing. And can I show you how Eli writes with tiny action? And there's nothing besides your own writing that's powerful for them to say, oh, look at that. A friend of ours is doing that. Maybe in your specialist class, you say, I asked Tanner up here today to show you the stance that he holds in football. Can you all watch and notice the things he's doing well? Put your students up on the spotlight. And then when the kids do turn and talk, that part that I just mentioned about turning and talking, we say, now let's try this. Would you all think in your head, remember the day the nurse came in and checked for, yeah, that's the story I said. What might be some dialogue you could sprinkle into that? Would you turn and tell your partner? Then you guys, the teacher leans in and eavesdrop on somebody. And you say, boys and girls, you hang around and say, can I tell you what Chloe and Eric, we're saying up here, it's so smart. Feedback. Feedback to them, feedback to the other others. And then at the end of your 15-minute huddle up, here's one more thing a good musician does. You depart with goals and say, maybe, boys and girls, this might be something you want to try, isn't it? Will you post-it note or whatever's affordable? Put a star, boys and girls, in a place in your story where you might sprinkle in something somebody said. Leave not just this chaos, everybody's talking at once, but they have some goals in mind. The B is then in the middle of the workshop. Now they're all out and about. You've got these two separated. He's got his own little office space. They're all working and you're moving among them, conferring. That's the scary part. Interrupt them all. Interrupt and say, oh gosh, you guys, second grade, just a minute. Can you put your pencils down? I hate to do this, but I have to tell you what David did over here. It brings a hush back over your kids. They have to get quiet. And then it refocuses them. Oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. Maybe I could drive my work that way and do something, unstuck myself that way. Okay? In kindergarten, I do like 3 of them. Because their stamina is very short at first. In 4th grade, their stamina might be diddly. Maybe they haven't been in a workshop where they're independently making decisions along the way. And you'll say, we did that the other day in 4th grade. Their stamina was strong. They were really writing. But we interrupted a couple times just to help them remember and be driven a little bit. The clipboard I showed you and the conferencing toolkit maybe you can walk out with today. Pick up for yourself at a Walmart, maybe if you're interested. You'll actually record it. And the reason you want to do that is so that you're not just flitting around. I'm actually speaking to Elkhorn Public Schools next week. And they want very strategic teaching points. And they want accountability to say, Eli, just a second, look at that. Last week when I talked to you, look at all the smart things you're doing. White space between your words. Gosh, you have even some internal thought in your little story. But one thing we talked about was starting to consider focusing your piece. You don't want to write a whole weekend at grandma's, but maybe just bake the cookies with grandma. Can you show me where you've done that? You start holding the kids accountable. Like if the coach showed Zach to keep his chin down, and then the next track meet he's doing this, that's not effective. But the things we're showing you, you should start to use up front as a writer, and I'll remind you about that. Constant feedback. And then the very end of your hour, I'm going to say hour, that would be a blessing. Some of our younger grades in different districts go 75 minutes. There's a lot to talk about. The kids are the best. Close your hour of writing workshop with maybe 10, 15 minutes of come on back. Ring your bell, start your music. Come on back, boys and girls. And I got to tell you about the smart things we saw. It's a celebration time. Get your document cameras out, show them the smart moves made, and boy, that's the most powerful feedback. Finally, throughout your day, and this is where your specialists that are being very kind to me today can plant the seeds for us and say, all right, guys, you need to write about this. This would make a great story when you crashed and burned off the rock wall, whatever it was. Help and tell them, say, boys and girls, the funniest thing just happened to me over lunch. I'm thinking, how can I get this written down in my writer's notebook? And it's helping them realize if you're living and breathing, stuff's happening that you can write about all day long. All right, flip to the next page real quick. As promised, you need to walk and talk a little bit now. You're doing well. You're not used to seeing me. You get your blood squirting. I'll play a little music, and when the song is done, will you be back in your chairs? You must be in chairs at an indoor price. So I'll give you the duration of this song to walk and talk, get some more food, take a rest of the regular meeting, okay? I'll see you back at the end of this